Headlines brought to you by the new Palmetto Ford Truck Super Center. Why buy your truck in a car store? Palmetto Ford.
We know trucks.
So the Dolphins are getting ready for their second preseason game. Yesterday, Jevon Holland. Once again, Leroy, another pick. Pick 6 yesterday from Jevon Holland. Wearing the orange jersey, by the way. That is 3 straight days he's had an interception. Kid's good.
You know what? He is one of the few players that I can remember in recent history. The second he got put on the Dolphins uniform, he made an impact.
Yep.
The second. No questions, no nothing. Everybody's like, this Jevon Holland from the day he came into the building.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty
Especially
crazy.
when he wasn't one of your higher picks.
No, he's a second-round pick. Like, it was listen, you got to give Chris Greer credit when he gets ripped for the draft the year before. And, Lord, Noah, big swing and a miss. But
well, that was their third pick, too.
Third first-round pick.
Third first-round pick. So I'm kind of you can take a bit, but here's why the problem is. For the same reason why we say the problem with Tua is Justin Herbert. Because you picked Tua over Justin Herbert, right? Jonathan Taylor was available, and they took Noah Igbenogany.
Yep.
They did not need a corner. They needed a running back.
In theory, though, Flo said that when they took it, you can never have enough cornerbacks. In a way, he's right, because they are a little bit thin there now.
Can't play.
Well, that's the problem, yeah. You need to pick the good one.
I could draft a whole bunch of quarterbacks. It don't mean that I'm making the right decisions.
You got to get it right. That's the key. That's the key.
If you got it right, then I would buy it. But if you didn't have no running game and your solution to fixing the running game was Arian Foster and Jonathan Taylor was available, not buying it.
I was asking this. So I finished watching the Manti Te'o documentary yesterday, which he talked a little bit about how he was in his NFL career, like once he got to the NFL. Because remember how bad he was in that BCS game? I mean, they got killed by Alabama.
You're too slow.
But he was talking about that he felt like he was dealing with a lot of mental anxiety, like once he got to the NFL. Like he just lost his confidence, especially after all the scandal came out. Now, obviously, I don't believe Noah's dealing with any kind of scandal, but do you think that a guy who clearly looks like he has physical traits and the coach keeps telling him stop playing to not get beat, play to go get the stop, do you think this is a mental thing with him? Like, can a guy just get to the league and maybe just get shook by all of this stuff?
Here's kind of where, of course, it can happen. I'm not going to discredit any mental health. But let me say this. Every time you've heard of an athlete be in some kind of situation where mentally you question whether he was holding it together, what would he say to you? Football was my release. Football was where I could go onto the field and just be me. And I didn't have to worry about all the other stuff.
Right. That's what he said. That is what Te'o said.
But now you're going to give me a player that's going to give you the opposite?
Well, that's the thing that was crazy, though, is because he literally goes to a point where he's beloved to everybody making fun of him. Like, I could see how that could mess you up. Like, it could shake somebody kind of to their soul. Like, where
the football portion of it is your release.
Yeah, but the football thing is also what brings you fame, and that fame now brings people mocking you,
I guess.
So I'm just wondering
But what fixes that? Good football.
Playing good.
Right.
Playing good.
See, that's everything.
They didn't really go, the only thing that I didn't like about it, they didn't really go into much of what's going on with him now. They kind of just left it at, all right, it's over. There you go. Manti Te'o. I would have liked to know. What's he doing?
I personally think, and here's the problem, that you have this situation that you could hide, and you not necessarily hide behind, but use as an excuse of why you struggled in the NFL, when in actuality, when he ran his 40 at the combine and when he did all of his tests, that was an indication
that the tangibles weren't there.
Right. So while I don't want to discredit what he's saying.
He was good, man.
In college.
All right.
While I don't want to discredit what he say was mental, right? I can say that a lot of why he didn't have success in the NFL was because of his tangibles. That's a fact.
Yeah, and so for a guy like Noah, it's almost the opposite, right? Because like everybody says his tangibles are good.
Right. And but just because here.
And by the way, I'm not saying that he's mentally soft, because if anything, McDaniel said the opposite this week. He says that he's got a good ability to kind of turn the page on things, but he
has to, because there's a lot of pages. He done pretty much read the Bible, right? With the little bitty print, because he done turned the page a lot. I mean, and guess what? It's hard to turn the page when you're not even reading the book. So for the last couple of years, he ain't even been reading the book, because he been sitting next to Flo.
They didn't even give him a library card.
Right. He asked us to check it out for him. Hey, can you go get that book for me?
Meanwhile, Jevon Holland's like a game of Jeopardy.
Right. Didn't they come on the same draft?
No, it was the year before.
Year before. Okay.
Yeah. Jevon
so think about that. Noah's been here 3 years, and Jevon Holland's been here 2 years.
Year 2. Yep.
And already he is a staple of that defense.
Yeah. No, he's going to be. That's his defense. That's his defense. Everybody's saying best guy in camp by far.
Yep.
I mean, granted, I guess Xavier Howard's not going probably as hard as everybody, and Xavier Howard maybe still the best player on that defense.
But being the best is not necessarily the thing that makes you a leader or makes you that guy, right? Everybody tends to think that if you're good at your job, then that automatically makes you a leader.
And yes, but I think that, but that's been the thought, is that it just kind of comes natural to him,
right? Know? But that's what I'm saying. So even though he may not be the best guy on the defense,
but it might be
both.
Maybe he will be both. It's only the second year.
That's why I'm kind of
maybe
like
he will be both.
I'm trying. That boy good. Hey, that boy good. That boy good. Hey, I tell you what. Like when you start talking about the defense, his name come up in 1 or 2 players. That's an indication of how good he is, right? You say X, and then where do you go? Jevon Holland,
yeah,
Byron Jones, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like Ogba's,
Ogba up front. I think they really like Christian Wilkins.
Oh yeah, Wilkins too.
Yeah,
the whole defense is good. I mean, right. Like the whole defense. It's not like you're.
You know what's like, even more impressive though? When you look at the core of those guys, you have them staggered. And when you have them staggered like that, you are going to have the ability to keep them around for a while.
You're talking about with contracts.
Yeah. So you got Jevon Holland, you got X, you got was Byron Jones, you got Phillips. He's coming along, right? Yep. He can't.
I'd be surprised if Byron Jones this probably. I mean, unless maybe he is amazing this year, but I would say it's probably going to be his last year. I think this is the last year. Like it's punitive to cut him because they gave him a big contract.
Right. I would say
they got to pay. And they'll have to pay Wilkins next year.
Soon as they have to pay somebody else, they're going to have to make a decision on one of their corners.
Right. Let's hear a little bit from Jevon Holland. Been having a string of picks at practice, and he says he's loving his performance.
Absolutely. I mean, I desire to be the best player that I can be. You know what I'm saying? And those type of things are the standard that I hold myself at, and I want to rise to those occasions. Absolutely. As a competitor, I feel like you should strive to be the best you can be, and if that's in your goal, then you should definitely be there for sure.
Wreaking havoc right now in practice. Kicking ass. Here's a little bit more from him.
We got a heads up on him. We got a heads up on him by Maurice Jones-Drew.
And this is him saying, because he was saying, he listed off all the safeties that he likes, and he was, I mean, the usual suspects of names. If you are a guy, like he says, Troy Polamalu, Bob Sanders, Ed Reed. Even throw Minka Fitzpatrick in there, which I don't know how I feel about that one.
Hey, anyway, what about
Honey Badger?
Old boy that just got paid.
Derwin James is on his list.
Derwin James.
Derwin James is on his list.
Isn't he a Florida State guy?
I think he
Yes.
is. Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, he is. But somebody asked him about
not
his
too many
appreciation.
Derwins out there.
No, there's not.
Dude,
But
stop
somebody asked
acting
him.
like you thought about it. You ain't never heard of another damn Derwin. Stop it.
I'm gonna look up famous Derwins during the break. But this is him. He was asked about what he likes about Ed Reed, and this is what he had to say.
I try to take his whole game, everything he does, really. You know, he was a phenomenal player. He played with such energy, such grit, and furious intention. So really his attitude and the way that he plays in the post is really what I was trying to focus on.
That's right. He said dominate. We ain't doing it. Jevon said dominate. I guess in this case it would be Liam Eichenberg said dominate. And we're not doing it.
Liam Eichenberg?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the Joaquin Gonzalez parallel for the Dolphins.
I got to tell you, at this current juncture right now, I don't think O-line is the place we go to for moral support. Right? That's how you know what when some of the biggest fights in the locker room happen? When the wrong guy start giving direction on how we should do things. Because somebody will ultimately yell, "You ain't been doing that." Right? And then all hell breaks loose. So you got to be careful with who decides to stand up and give those words of wisdom.
Michael Dina said dominate, and we're not doing it.
Wouldn't that be something if the kicker stood up? Guys,